Welcome to Trucks. Oh, I've got a great show for you today. One you've been wanting to see for a long time. Heck, one I've been wanting to do for a long time. And that is set the cab down on the chassis of Copperhead and start assembling this truck. So hold on, because here we go. When you go to set a body down on a chassis, of course the ideal situation is to have a lift like this and go jacks under the chassis so you can roll everything around and line it up perfectly. However, very few people are going to have these tools, so the next best thing is to get about 4 of your buddies and a couple of pizzas and have them help you set the cab in place. Once the cab is sitting on the rubber mounts, 4 bolts is all it takes to mount it down. With the cab bolted down on the frame, man, you can see how this is starting to lay out in here. Now, it is tight. You got about 1 inch of clearance here at the back of the valve cover and about 1/2 inch here at the back of the air cleaner, but that's enough. All right, this thing's finally starting to look like a truck again. We're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the bed. One of the great things about the 67 through 72 GM truck is that almost every piece for the bed is available brand new, which means you don't have to go out and try to resurrect an old rusty bed, unless, of course, you just want to. Now, we got this whole kit, every piece from Early Classic Enterprises. Here's what we got. 2 new bed sides, tell you a little bit more about those in a minute. A new head gate, a new smooth tailgate. Now, we got the smooth one as opposed to the one that says Chevrolet in it, because if you don't know this is a Chevy by now, guys, we can't help you. Now, we got 2 new wheel tubs, a bunch of support braces for the bed, and most importantly, a big bag of stainless hardware so we don't have to mess around with old rusty bolts. As you can see, this kit from Early Classic is really nice, but the 2 most unique pieces are these bed sides. Now, these are made by Goodmark Industries, and when these things hit the market a few years ago, people went crazy, because until that time, man, finding 2 good bed sides was almost impossible. Remember, these are trucks. People used them to haul things with. Now, these pieces fit just like the originals, but notice, our marker lights have been shaved, stake pocket holes have been filled. Goodmark does not make these like that. They make them original. So if you want it smoothed down, you need to do it yourself. But I've showed you how to smooth panels in the past, so you know how to do it. To put the bed together, it's best to assemble it off the frame. Now, this is an area where you're going to need an extra set of hands because you can't do this by yourself. Now, I've got my good buddy Dave Clark to give me a hand. We'll start with one bed side and bolt on the rear cross member. Next is the front head gate. Now, make sure if you're using stainless hardware like we are, that you use some anti-seize on the threads so you don't gall them. We got ours with the kit. Next comes the other bed side. Keep in mind our bolts are just finger tight at this point so we can square this thing up later. Also, don't be surprised if you have to file and fit a little to get things just right. And be prepared to touch up your paint. Yeah, it's all part of the reassembly process. Now that we have a basic structure done, it's time to put it up on jack stands so we don't damage the bottom edges of the bed sides. Then we'll just bolt in the wheel tubs. All right, now it is time to square up this bed. And you need to take your time here, because this is what's going to determine just how square and true this bed's going to sit and how nice these tailgate gaps are going to be. And nothing looks worse than a crooked or cockeyed bed. Now, once you have it exactly how you want it, go ahead and tighten down your bolts. All right. Now we're ready for the wood. And the kit that I got for that also came from Early Classic. Here's what it consists of. Nice premium quality oak planks, all pre-cut, ready to fit your bed. And then to go between those planks, got these polished aluminum strips. Now notice, you don't see any mounting bolts here. This is one of their hidden mounting bolt kits, and I'll tell you more about this when we go to put these in. Now, it's important to remember that your bed kit does not come out of the UPS truck ready to just drop into your truck. No, man, you got to pre-fit it, which means you got to set it in place, drill your holes, make it fit your bed, because each bed is different. Then, you need to sand it, stain it, and seal it, like we showed you how to do a few weeks ago. Then you can set it aside. So when you come to this final assembly step, everything should just slide into place. No scratched paint, no marred wood. Everybody's happy. To install the wood, we'll start with these smaller side pieces around the wheel tubs, then bolt in the remaining cross members. This is where you'll be really glad you pre-fit everything. Then just slide in your planks and your aluminum strips. Make sure that you leave out the plank that's going to cover these mounting bolts, or you won't be able to bolt your bed in. All right, Dave and I are going to take a break, get something to eat. It's your turn to buy.
Again?
Yeah. Now that we're putting all these parts into the bed of Copperhead, you can see just how nice this bed's going to be. Now all we have to do is bolt it down onto the frame, tighten everything up, and Copperhead is 2/3 finished. We'll be back after this. All right, go ahead and start lowering this down. Hey, we're back. For those of you that are just getting here, we are reconstructing the body on Project Copperhead, a '67 Chevy short bed pickup. Now, speaking of bed, we have spent the first part of the show reconstructing this bed. Now it's just a matter of setting it in place. That's looking good, and bolting it on. Now, if you don't have lifting equipment like this, you're going to need at least 4 buddies to come in here and help you set this down on here. That's it, so you don't scratch the paint. Buddy, we are on. Before you tighten the bed bolts, make sure that you recheck the squareness of your bed, because picking it up and moving it around can cause it to move a little. Once it's right, tighten them down. Now we're ready to tighten the bed strip bolts. But before we do, I want to tell you a little bit about these strips because they're pretty unique. Now, running down the back side is a slot that goes all the way down, and into that slot slides this very unique bolt that has that special shoulder on it. Now what this does, slides into the slot and gives you adjustment for your cross members, and then that shoulder gives you the grip, allows you to pull this thing down tight into the wood. Now what this does is eliminate any bolt heads for a super clean look. Okay, I've got the gas tank out, doing some measurements, and there's something I want to bring to your attention here. If you are relocating your gas tank to under the bed of the truck, and this is not just for this style of truck, this is for any kind of truck, you need to figure out some way to get the gas down into the tank. And unfortunately, you can't really lay that out until the whole bed is put together. You see how it's all going to fit. Now, you can take this as far as your imagination will let you. You can come in, put a filler cap coming out here, put a remote door there, hide it under a marker light. You can bring it out through the tail light, have the tail light pivot down like a '56 Chevy. Or the aftermarket is full of billet flip doors that recess into the wood, or kits that let the wood flip up. Man, you've got a lot of options here. But that's another project for another day, because we still have a lot of body parts to put on. Just don't forget, you need to do that. The last big piece to go on the bed is the tailgate. Once again, this is a 2-man job because it needs to be finessed into place so you don't scratch that paint all up. Once the gate's in place, put on the hardware and latches and you are done. Now we're ready to look at some taillights. And we got these brand new reproduction taillights and backup lights from Early Classic Enterprises. Now these are great. These will slide right into the stock openings, but they utilize this old style technology, a single dual filament bulb. These were notorious for being too dim. Now that was great for 1967, but there's been a lot of changes in lighting since then. So to go with this, we got this LED panel kit from Early Classic. Now this utilizes 160 LED bulbs, which is far brighter than this, uses less power than this, and it won't burn out like this. The best part is, slides right into the original socket, lays down on the housing, on goes the lens, and you are ready for your truck. And that is all there is to it. An original look, modern lighting. Now, while I'm back here, what about this big empty area right here? Well, as usual, you've got a couple choices. You can put on a rear roll pan. Now what this will do is blend into these lower bed sides and roll metal down underneath, giving you a really smooth, clean look. They're cool, but they've got a couple drawbacks. Number one, you're going to want to weld it in, which means you're going to have to do some metal work and some paint work. Number two, you can say goodbye to that hitch. And number three, you're not going to have any kind of protection back here from any kind of fender bender. Or your other choice would be to use an original style bumper, which is what I'm going to do. And the reason is, not only can I keep the hitch and keep some protection back here, but also these trucks were built in an era where the bumper was actually designed to be part of the styling of the rig, so they look really cool. So yeah, we're going to keep it. The bumper bolts on easy using factory braces. And that is it. Now notice, the hitch is hidden behind the bumper and the license plate, but when you need it, there it is. Now step back, take a look at this. Is this sweet or what? Now this takes care of the assembly of the bed, but don't go away. We got a lot more to do after this.
Just can't get enough of trucks? Check us out online at truckstv.com.
Welcome back to the shop. If you're just getting here, oh man, you have missed some good stuff, because we're putting Copperhead back together and it's going quick. They always do at this point. Now, it doesn't matter if you're working on a 67 through 72 Chevy like this or whatever. The assembly steps are going to be pretty much the same no matter what you're working on. So for you latecomers, we're going to walk you through the steps of what we've done so far. Starting with the finished chassis, we bolted the cab on. Then we completely constructed a bed using new sheet metal, wood floor with smooth strips so you don't see any bolt heads, an original style bumper, new taillights, everything. And as you can see, this is turning into an awesome truck. Now, one of the most amazing things though is the only original piece of GM sheet metal I've used so far is this cab. Everything else is reproduction parts. That gives you a pretty good idea of the quality of aftermarket parts out there. That's also one of the main reasons for this buildup, to show you what's out there, hopefully get you excited about a buildup of your own. Now the cab's bolted down, the back half of the truck is assembled. It's time to do something about this steering system. Now obviously we need a steering column, and you got a couple of choices here. You can try to hunt down an original column, you can still find them, but then you're going to have to paint it, you're going to have to detail it, and once you're all done with that, you still have an original column. Now that's fine, but you do have another choice. This is from I Did It. This is their chrome tilt column, and it is made specifically for this model of truck. So it's going to slide right into place and bolt right up. And it will make a huge difference in the look of your interior. And you got your turn signals, tilt, hazard lights, and everything is wired up to plug into your wiring harness. This is nice. Now, to connect that column to the steering box, got a stainless steel shaft and a couple of Borgeson U-joints. Now this big boy here is to absorb vibration so you don't get vibration up into your steering wheel. Now, speaking of steering wheel, this is Colorado Custom's Lazier wheel. Now check this out. Colorado Custom offers steering wheels to match their custom wheels. That is a nice touch. And the leather on the wheel matches the upholstery inside, and the wheel itself has got this polished aluminum adapter that's going to mate right up with that steering column, and it's going to look perfect. And that's the idea here. Build your truck to where everything matches and works together, and you can do that no matter what budget you're on. To install the column, just slide it into place, bolt it up with the factory hardware. With the column loosely in place, we'll just slide on the steering wheel, and then we'll position the column in the cab where we want it. Now you need to take your time here, because this is where you make it fit how you want it to fit. Now notice you've got 2 or 3 inches here that you can move this thing forward and back. Also, when you're setting up a steering system, ideally you want it to be at driving position and the steering column to be straight, pointing right at you. That way you've got full benefit of your tilt option. Now once you have it how you want it, go ahead and bolt it up underneath the dash, connect your steering shaft up at the box, and that is it. And that's also it for right now, because we have to take a break. But don't go too far, we'll be right back. If you've ever been down a highway or even seen one of these trucks, well, you've probably heard that they can go over 1,000,000 miles without an overhaul. Now, how is that possible when your gasoline car just died at 100,000? Well, good question. We are going to show you how it works.
How it works.
Brought to you by Wyotech.
All right, Dan, that's the question. How does a big rig diesel go so far and last so many miles?
There's no doubt that the manufacturer, their engineers, the materials that they're using are helping these engines last a lot longer than they used to. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, we were tearing these engines down at 300,000 miles. Now we're all the way up to 500,000 to 1,000,000 miles before we ever get into these babies. So.
Now, I bet maintenance and tuning would have a lot to do with that, right?
Absolutely. We have to keep these valves adjusted properly, the right clearance is there. Also, these electronic injectors have to be set properly for these engines to last those kind of miles.
Okay, how about the great destroyer, heat?
It is a destroyer, isn't it?
Oh, man, everything.
Whether it's diesel,
The gasoline,
the transmissions, on and on we
gears,
go. Yeah, it destroys stuff. This is just one thing that these diesel companies are using to get rid of the heat. This is an oil cooler. Again, just one of the things that we're trying to keep this engine so we can keep it lasting as long as possible.
Okay, now we're going to show you what happens when things go bad. All right, we got a piston here. It's got a little bit of a problem.
It does have a problem.
What happened here?
Again, we just got done talking about heat, and this is a good example of what can happen. What happens, we didn't maintain the heat well. This thing is made completely out of aluminum, which expanded a lot faster inside of this liner, and so the result is all of the aluminum comes sliding off. Yes.
Rebuild time.
It is.
All right, now here's a normal piston. This is how it should look. I notice you got metal up here on top. You got steel. What's going on?
We do. This is to help, again, the longevity of the engine. If we can put a ring on a steel dome, we're not going to beat that ring land out. Just the opposite here. This is a full steel, aluminum piston. Again, we can beat the ring lands out with a chrome piston on this. All right.
Now, what happened here?
I tell you, it wasn't my fault.
No, I heard it was. Yeah. This is something that you did. They told me you did.
I came down the hill maybe a little bit too fast.
And you didn't use a torch. You did this. All right. Now, they say one of the good things about a diesel like this is that you don't ever have to bore them out. You just reinsert a new liner and then rebuild it. Is that right?
Yes, we can. When we get ready to rebuild, the liner comes out, the piston comes out, we turn right around, the liner goes in, slap the piston on, and get ready to put the head on.
Cool. Well, that should give you an idea of what's going on in these diesels when they're running 1,000,000 miles. And that's a good thing, because you never know when you're going to have to tell somebody how it works. This is awesome, man.
Really
I got to
wasn't
keep
my
that. Here, hang that around your neck. Dan did this.
His necklace.
When it comes to trucks, one thing's for sure. If you use your bed for hauling stuff like you should be, well, you need some sort of bed liner or you're just going to destroy everything. Now, if you're looking for a drop-in removable bed liner, you need to check out what Duracon has with the Duraliner. Now, this is a one-piece plastic liner, custom fit for your application, and it's got the ribbed bottom so it will handle some abuse. It's not going to crack on you. It's not going to fade, it's not going to get slick, and those ribs allow airflow underneath, so it's not going to rust out your bed. And of course, it comes with a lifetime warranty, even if you abuse it like I just did. So, if you're looking for a drop-in liner, Duracon can help you out. Okay, you got your Jeep TJ all lifted up and ready to go rock crawling, and that's nice. But what if you need more than that? Skyjacker's got some products that can help you out on the trail. The first one is this one-piece shifter kit for the transfer case. Now, this eliminates the binding found in the original linkage when you get into extreme situations. Now, this is a skid plate for your steering box. Basically, what this does is keep you from breaking your steering box off on a rock. So, if you're setting a TJ up for some hardcore rock action, you need to call Skyjacker, see what they got. Have you ever been carrying a big load of junk and wished that you could just come up to your tailgate and say the magic words and it would just fall right open? Well, I've got the next best thing for you. This kit is called the Drop Tail, and it's from JSC Engineering. It's very simple. It's an electric cylinder and some hookups, and it allows you to open and close your tailgate with just the push of a button. Not only that, but you can set it to automatically open the tailgate to a spoiler position when you're at freeway speeds. This gives you less drag, more gas mileage, more performance. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh man, that's a gimmick. This won an award at SEMA last year as one of the best new products for trucks. So if you want to check it out, JSC Engineering shoot a call. That does it for today. Next week, the front of Copperhead. We'll see you then.